Hi, my name's John Blair, and in this tutorial I'll show you how to create a menu for your website in Umbraco. The agenda for this tutorial then is we'll demo our website menu, looking at its responsive behaviour. We'll take a look at a couple of sub-menus that are activated via hover. We'll look at a disconnected sub-menu, and we'll look at single and multi-column sub-menus, and analysing those menu components. We'll make use of my background colour Chrome plugin. We'll then go on to look at the Umbraco menu architecture. We have a site menu which implements the header and the footer menu for a page, but each page can override either or both the header and footer. Finally, we'll review some code snippets that implement the menu. Okay, let's take a look at a responsive menu. Here we have my website. We have a bootstrap menu on the header and a non-bootstrap menu on the footer. Within the header, the bootstrap menu is being customized to allow a search bar and also to allow hover behavior with either multi-column or single column menus. If we take a look at the responsive behavior, we can see that in the iPad, the portrait login menu starts to drop, but that looks fine. And in the landscape, that looks fine as well. So we check phone menu, and that drops down into the mobile menu where we lose the hover behavior, but instead we get accordion style behavior. So we get CSS plus and minus modifications kicking in mobile mode, and that also looks fine in landscape. In styling the menu, I tend to just drag the screen shorter. You could see that for me the search bar moves into the logo, so at some point I shorten it, but I generally don't make every breakpoint work. It's only those devices that I'm concerned it works on, so the iPad, the iPhone, anything else is just a bonus. So that's that. In developing the menu, I make use of my Chrome background colour plugin. This helps me analyse any page. I get tired of just setting background colours on elements, so I just set it on the whole page, and then this allows me to take a look at any elements. So we can see essentially for each menu element, the styling is just on the A HTML, and that makes it much easier to handle when we go to mobile. And if you look at the drop downs, I just get a gradient colour in the background to give a slight disconnected look from the main menu, and that applies both single column or multi-column. Slightly different approach for the footer menu, in that I've given a padding around all the A elements, and they've been given a title, but it's essentially the same components being used, as we'll see when we take a look at the back office. Just wanted to show you a disconnected submenu option that you might want to use in your menu. By disconnected, I mean that when you hover over the main menu, there's a gap before the submenu appears. Normally for a hover effect, you have to position the submenu right at the bottom of the main menu. Now, if we take a look at my background reveal tool, then what you can see is The submenu has actually got a before element that's coloured blue here, and that continues the extension of the hover from the main menu. So it's just an illusion that there is a gap. It's just that the colour by default is transparent, so the background, in this case brown, will show through. But there's a nice effect if you have a disconnected menu. Okay, let's take a look at the back office for the menu architecture. What I have for each website is I normally have site configuration with global settings. In this case, I define a header section and a footer section that applies to all pages unless it has been overridden at the individual page level. So we look at I have custom content HTTP error pages for the 500 error, for instance, and an exception occurs. Then I override the header section just to have a home and a help menu, nothing else. But in all other pages, we'll see in the header section, I'll have home, sample pages, tutorials, contact me, help, and similarly the footer will apply on all pages, including the error pages. In the header, what I have is a header section doc type, which has a definition for header menu columns. If we take a look at that, then we can see that's just a nested content of a header menu column. So we look at that, then a menu column, in this case the home is just a single menu item, a link to the home page. If we look at the help menu item, that has got a single column submenu of pages, and then sample pages is the one with a submenu, but that has multiple columns. Now, in version 7 of Umbraco, I used a third party for the menu, but that wasn't available when I went to 8, so I decided just to implement my own, largely using the multi-URL picker for individual columns. Now, to get the column breakup points, I just use a menu item with a dash in it that tells me my column breakpoint. So here you can see that there's 3 columns defined within sample pages, which we can see here. So that's the 3 columns, and they're just defined using the dash character. I found that just simplifies development and maintenance. The same approach was done with the footer. This is just a nested content of a column definition. For the footer, I allow a title so that you get a title ahead of the links. So again, there's multiple columns, and then I have a separate copyright menu for the bottom of the page. So there's the copyright title and then a series of links, and that completes the menu. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of code snippets. This is the master page for my site, and in there we decide which header menu and footer menu to show. We'll look to the current page's children first to see if there's a menu, either a header or a footer defined on there. If there is, we'll use that. If not, we'll use the central site configuration header or footer. And then within the master page, we'll render a partial header section using the header menu that we pulled out. and a footer section using the footer menu that we pull out. And if we look at the header section, it's basically a bootstrap menu that then goes through the menu and determines whether we're showing a single menu link, and then within that we decide whether it's an internal one or an external link. Slight differences in rendering, or if the menu link has a sub-menu. If it is, then we use the Bootstrap drop down and we render the sub-menu in the render navigation. And if we take a look at that, here's the special I mentioned about looking for dash in the items to determine the number of columns. If there's only one column, it's an unordered list. If there are multiple columns, then we render the URLs for each column inside a div. And the reason we do that is we make the div be a table row, and all the columns are table cells, so that the sub-menu, each column will have the same height. And if you're curious, this determine the number of columns is just a C# extension method that takes a list of links from the multi-URL picker and then returns a list of a list. So that's a list of columns, and that's how the columns are determined. The final part is the header. Uses some JavaScript. Essentially, we check whether we're in mobile mode or not. If we're in mobile mode, we don't use any hover enter or exit functionality. We just leave it up to the user to click on the open and close sub-menus. But if we're not in mobile, then as the user does a mouse enter, puts the mouse over the top menu, then we actually click it to open up the sub-menu. And we also deal with a sticky nav bar in here, accommodating things like menus dropping down, have a fixed height header on 32 pixels, but if the menu drops down, then the content of a new page might show up under that header, so we adjust that. And if the header's less than 132, we restore the default margin top. Again, switching from non-mobile into mobile, we just switch everything off to make sure that no JavaScript interferes with mobile play. And we add a resize event just so that as the user resizes the browser, the hover enter or exit functionality will apply as required.